Hey everybody, I'm Stryker. Welcome to the show. Today I am joined by Buck, Eric, and Albert, Blue Oyster Colt. Welcome, guys.
How you doing, Stryker?
Hey.
Buck, I want to talk to you. Who of the two guys here did you meet first, and under what circumstances was that first meeting?
It was Albert first, and the circumstance was we went to the same college. That's where we met. We were both engineering students at the time, and that lasted until we got the music bug. We got bit.
And what city did you grow up in?
I grew up on Long Island. I was born in Flushing, went to grade school in Merrick, went to high school in Smithtown, and lived in various other places after that.
And Albert, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Thousand Islands. It's an area of upstate New York, like right on the Canadian border, basically, in the St. Lawrence River.
All right, and so you're living there, and you're living with your family. How did you get the music you love then? Who are some of the artists you liked? Did you get music from your friends? Was it being played in your house?
My mom was a big music fan, and she loved Benny Goodman and these kind of that kind of swing music. So I got to listen to that when I was very young. But we moved to Greece for a year when I was 5, and when we were coming back, all the records got destroyed. So she was crushed. She was crying for weeks, and then she would just sing around the house. She would always sing. And I took piano lessons when I was 7, I guess.
And did you enjoy those piano lessons? I have talked to so many. Right, exactly. All the artists I talked to, I hate piano lessons.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad I did now, though.
What's that?
I'm glad I did now, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
and was that your go-to instrument for how many years until you...
About 4 years.
Okay.
But I always wanted to play the drums. That was my main thing.
And Eric, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Queens.
Right there in Queens.
Queens,
so that is,
New York.
You're in the middle of it all right there.
Yeah, New York. I grew up in New York City. I've always lived in the metropolitan area.
And who are some of the artists that you really loved in those formative years?
Well, I was exposed to New York City AM radio. I grew up with, tuning in on a plastic radio with the AM dial, which would be your earliest New York City DJs, your Alan Freed, your Peter Tripp.
So when you heard the music, you heard the DJs, did you want to be a musician at that young age? Did you want to be an on-air radio person?
Not early on. I mean, I'm saying like 11, 12 years old.
Okay.
I was into music. I was listening to the radio. And I'd say junior high is when I really started, listening to radio countdowns, and being into music.
All right. So when high school is done, did you go to college? Did you jump into the music scene? What was your deal then?
Well, yeah, I went to Hobart College in upstate New York, and we all have that in common, even though we didn't know each other. And like they did, they formed a college band, and I did too. I'm a couple of years older than they are. I played all through upstate New York in bar bands, and finished college in '66, '67, playing all through upstate in bars, and got a job actually as an agent, and moved to New York City to work at Premier Talent as a booking agent, and that fell through. And of course, the genesis of how we all met is I got a temporary job at Sam Ash Music in a store in Hempstead, New York, which is now closed. Not Sam Ash, but that branch. And Don and I don't know if you were there, but Alan was there, and Andrew Winters, our original bass player, was there.
They came into the store as patrons?
Into the store.
Yeah.
I only worked there for a couple of weeks.
Looking to buy amplifiers.
And they were flush with some money from a record advance from Electro Records. And I happened to be the salesman when they walked in. And I had taken an 8x10 from my college bar band and put it up on the wall.
What was the name of that band?
Lost and Found.
Okay.
And I'd put it up on the wall next to other bands that had bought gear. You know how record stores and music stores put up pictures of bands.
Big bands, the biggest of bands.
Yeah, like, Rolling Stones, Beatles, Lost and Found.
Right, of course.
So I put this picture up, and Sam Ash had never known I put the picture up. I just snuck it up on the wall.
The thing is, the guitar player in his band, I had played with in a band in the Thousand Islands.
That's right.
A guy named Peter Haviland.
There was some cross.
So
interest.
I said, hey, look at these guys. I know these, these guys. I didn't say that. And he said, oh, that's my band. He was right behind me.
Exactly. And one thing led to another. And within I don't know, a couple of weeks later was Thanksgiving of '68. And I got a call from the singer in the band who preceded me. They needed sound. And I had a PA system. And back in those days, you could call it a PA system, not like today. But I had, a small bar band sound system, and I had a van. And they said, could you come down and do sound for us? Because the sound at the Electric Circus was crappy. Thanksgiving Day of '68, I drove into the city and did the sound for everybody. And I think we all got kind of toasted, as I recall.
It was a strange night.
Yeah. And I did the sound for the band. And Sandy Perlman, who was the band's manager at the time, approached me after the show and asked me would I be interested in working with the band. I think because I had a van. So I had the van, I had the columns and my Bogan 100 amp, and I was willing to go. And I moved into the band house Christmas Day of 1968.
Wow.
And that was the genesis of how I got in there.
And then at what point, Buck, I'll go to you on this, did you really feel like you guys had something? Or was it before that time that you felt like, you know what, I have so much confidence in my skill and my bandmate's skill, everything's going to be fine?
I think we always felt that we had something. For me, it took probably the third album before I thought of myself as a professional musician. You know, it seemed like it was all a lark on some level, you know, even though we were working very, very hard to get somewhere, you know. But yeah, you know, obviously we were opening doors, you know, we could get our foot in doors, and we were definitely making progress. So it was well worth you know, persevering, you know, on not much income. You know, we weren't making any money. That's for sure.
We were playing about 220 shows a year on the road.
After we
And
recorded.
did you guys have the deal at that time? I know before you mentioned
Columbia
Electro
Records,
Records, but
yeah.
so you had this
Right.
deal, and was
Yeah.
Clive, where was Clive Davis involved in all this?
Clive Davis, Sandy had a buddy that worked at Columbia Records named Murray Krugman. And Murray could open the door for us to get Clive to see us. Instead of seeing us at a club, they arranged for a audition in the Black Rock building, which is 52nd Street and 6th Avenue. And the 12th floor was the music offices. So they cleared out a conference room, long rectangular conference room.
Yeah, about as big as these rugs.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was a long rectangle, and took the table out, the chairs out, set up about 6 or 7 chairs at the long side of the room, and we played facing the short side of the room, and we did about a 5-song set. And Clive was there. Patti Smith was there, who was Alan's girlfriend at the time.
Wow.
Bobby Colomby was there, who was the drummer in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Harry Nilsson was there, who should rest in peace. And a few other A&R people from the label was there, and Sandy Pearlman. And we did 5 songs, I believe. And about the 3rd song, Harry Nilsson got up and left the room. And I figured, oh, we must suck. And it really sort of threw me that he got up right in the middle of the set and left. Came back about a half a song later and sat down. When it was over, I went up to him and, you know, I not worthy because loved him. And I said, do you mind if I ask you, why'd you leave the room? You know, he said, I had to have a cigarette. But Sandy left the room and came back a few minutes later and says, Clive wants to sign you. And that
was that.
That was it.
Wow. All right, I'm going to throw some songs at you, and I just want to know a memory you have recording the song, how it came together. Don't Fear the Reaper. That's the first one I want to go to. Take it away.
I always say this is one of the first songs that I wrote when we all got 4-track tape recorders. You know, there used to be a time when musicians didn't have multi-track tape recorders, but now, of course, everybody's got computers that record as many tracks as you want. But anyway, that's the first song I wrote on the multi-track recorder.
And what came first, lyrics or music?
The guitar lick came first, and the first couple of lines of lyric came. You know, after that, it was a lot of work to get the rest of it out. But that's all right.
And why was it so much work? Just getting into the studio and fine-tuning every little...
No, by the time we got to the studio, it was pretty well formulated. But just to, you know, complete the story and make it go somewhere and do the arrangement.
And what do you remember about the early reception of that song, going out and playing that live, Eric?
It always went over well. Of course, it was a hit.
Yeah.
And we were not used to having a hit. We were always like a, you know, scrabbling band trying to inch its way up. And all of a sudden, here's an album with a hit on it.
Yeah, we were very comfortable being sort of like an album-oriented, semi-underground band.
Right, you weren't just like, let's make a big song,
Yeah.
guys. You were like, let's make a cool album. And then obviously
Yeah.
great things have come
We
from
were
the
not
collection,
known
right?
for hits, and this is our
No.
5th record.
Right.
Right.
We'd never had an AM in those days, AM chart hit.
That's what
let's talk about ETI. That's your song, isn't it?
I sang it.
You sang it, right?
Yeah.
And what do you remember about being in the studio, the making of that song?
Well, first of all, the genesis of that song, it did not have that lyric.
Oh, really?
Buck wrote it with a different lyric.
Right. I wrote the music, and I had a different lyric on it, which everybody says, that lyric's no good.
Yeah, that lyric was not successful
So-
in consensus.
So we grafted the ETI lyric on it, and then it became ETI. And
Yeah,
of course, that was
Sandy-
a better outcome.
Sandy was always very interested in sort of arcane science fiction, and his entire Imaginos epic, which became one of our later projects, was always, he had written in the 60s actually, and was always consumed with extraterrestrials and sort of like mysterious Lovecraftian kind of theories and things of that ilk. And he had written the ETI lyric, and it just fit perfectly on Don's track.
It sounds like, just from getting to know you guys here, that you were the opposite of closed-minded in terms of listening to people you trusted when you would make new music. Is that fair to say, Albert? That it was really a cohesive group that was putting all this together?
Yeah, well, we would bat things around. I mean, I think there was a lot of collaboration, within the group, even, especially in the beginning, before anybody could make a decent demo. But even after that, there was a lot of collaboration.
So you got to remember, in the earliest days, we lived in one house. And communal meals, communal living, communal rehearsals for years. And we lived in Great Neck, in a little part of Great Neck, Long Island called Thomaston, and in the late 60s. And from there we moved to different band houses on Long Island. And every house had rehearsal. And we would all, certain time of the day, we would all say, let's go down the basement and rehearse. And if we weren't rehearsing, we'd be jamming. And if we weren't jamming, we'd be, just two of the guys would go down there and do something. Or I remember Alan just going in the basement and just learning a variety of different ways of playing the same hand positions on piano, schooling himself. And it would be just a music place, for everybody to get their shit together.
You're boned like a saint with a consciousness of a snake.
the sake of your voice in my body. You don't give me no choice but to, honey, to give you the shove. So take back your spot. I'll be the devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin, but I won't be a pigeon. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin, but I won't be your pigeon. Touching my timbers, looking for a pistol. Too lazy you out. It looks like a keyhole. I just keep like keyback, seamless and whole. No more items. I got my own self-control. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin, but I won't be a preacher. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin, but I won't be a preacher. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin, but I sin for love. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin for love. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin for love. Devil, she devil, devil, evil. I love you like sin for love. Sin for love. Sin for love. I went down last night with a tattoo mask on. Into a new dagger fantasy domain. Wrapped in hell, I lost my breath. Just to stimulate the Chinese breath. The grizzly smiles, they won't let go. Calling, coming, the demons hearing. Vampire photos stuck in the skin. Vampire, tattoo vampire. It's heat of the night at the Acres Parlor. Flesh from a brand, $8 for $1. Really surreal, a hard and flying skull. Living life and love, they're slipping. The grizzly smiles, they look like y'all. Coming, coming, the demons leaving. The vampire photos suck in the skin. The vampire, tattoo vampire.
the debut album comes out in 1972, right? Everyone's very excited. The label has your back, I assume, at this point. And what do you remember about the release of that album? I'll go to you on this, Buck.
It was a validation, you know. It was the point where my parents stopped bugging me to get a real job, you know, because here was a Columbia record with my name on it, you know, and that was great. So.
And we started touring right away off the record. We were very lucky. We got signed to an agency that booked Alice Cooper.
Oh, wow.
And we got on that tour. And we had to do an audition for Alice Cooper.
Where was that audition at?
It was in Massachusetts.
Worcester, Mass.
Worcester, Mass. Doing a show opening for Alice. And if they liked us, we would get the rest of the run. And I guess we succeeded, and Alice Cooper's people allowed us to finish the run.
Was there anything just ridiculous, Albert, you remember happening on the road with Alice? Were you friends? Did you go on his bus? Did you play golf? What was happening on that tour?
No, there was no golf.
No golf at that tour.
That
Too
was,
much
a lot of partying. Really, almost after every gig, we would party with those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the famous story. I don't know if you want me to tell it about hitting the hotel with the truck.
Oh, yeah, backing into the Holiday Inn, sure.
Yeah, let's hear that story.
You know, we were driving our own trucks.
Yeah, we had
it was
like
my turn to drive.
We had like one or two crew guys.
Yeah, it was like a Hertz box truck. You know? And I was backing into a parking space at a Holiday Inn, and what I didn't realize is that there was these architectural decorative concrete columns which came out from the side about 10 feet off the ground. You know, so I'm just backing up, boom.
Yeah,
made the whole hotel.
Yeah, made the whole building shake.
Yeah, we were already up in the top floor with the band partying while Donald was moving the truck, and first we thought it was an earthquake because everything started moving.
Right, I laughed it off. I meant to do that.
But I'll tell you something: we owe a lot to Alice and his people, and we learned a lot. We were very green. And we learned a lot from Alice Cooper.
We learned a lot about performance from them, because they were doing the Killer Show at that time, and it was just
it's one of the best rock shows
phenomenal.
that ever was.
It was stunning, and we
you got to learn every single night.
We absorbed a lot of what it takes to actually, succeed live to a big audience.
And that original Alice Cooper band was awesome.
Yeah.
Was it always easy to take lyrics and music to each other in the band, or was anyone ever afraid someone's going to say it stinks, even though this kind of happened with that story?
We would always tell each other that songs
stink.
Yeah.
We'd criticize each other. No biggie.
Sometimes it would work, and sometimes it wouldn't. And if it didn't work, then we'd just put it away for a little while until we
were
figured
very
it out.
lucky. We had a circle of people who were very verbose, and Richard Meltzer, Sandy Pearlman, Patti Smith, and other friends who also just coincidentally went to Stony Brook, Dave Roeder, and other people, Helen Robbins, who became Helen Wheels, and they were all writers. So very often we had manila folders full of lyric.
Yeah, hundreds.
So all you had to do was go through that stuff, and if something struck you, you can say, hey, guys, this one here, anybody writing a song with this? Yeah. And people would say, no, I don't have any ideas for that. So, okay, I do.
Yeah.
And that's the way it would go.
Do you guys remember the point where you went from being a band opener to the headliner? And the circumstances on that, and when you really incorporated the lasers and the crazy live shows?
You know, I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but I remember the Fox Theater in Atlanta being one of the first places we ever headlined.
Yeah, I think you're right. After our third record, Secret Treaties, and we got a lot of positive, all of a sudden the press was writing about this new band. Meanwhile, we'd been around for a few years already, but we were the new band when that record came out. And so we started getting headline gigs. We came out to California in that year, I think, and we played in Washington.
Using lasers for the live show and incorporating that and making it just a whole experience for people that went to see you guys and go to see you guys play. Whose idea was that? And did anyone flip out like, we can't do that? It's too expensive. You're going to lose money. Please tell me the story.
We've done some
lasers.
homework. Well, Sandy discovered David Infante, who was this scientist who invented this new tech laser. And he took what were literally non-commercial laser use and found a way of doing new and very interesting things with it. And he was doing a laser show in Manhattan in a loft, and he took us up to see it. And it was like so sci-fi and so amazing.
It was mesmerizing.
And we were flush with the money from the Agents of Fortune Success, which was our first gold and platinum record. So we said, let's do it. And we took this stuff on the road, and it was staggeringly expensive.
The lasers were very fragile at that time. They were
you
big
should not.
and very
I'm going to use a New Yorkie term here. You can't schlep this stuff around.
Yeah.
And we schlepped it around in the semis, and it had no right to be moved from his loft. And when it broke, it had to be flown back to Orlando, where it had to be repaired.
Yeah,
And
it was Atlanta.
It was staggering. But for about a year and a half, we had the most amazing show you ever want to see.
And how cool was it for you guys to see the reaction of these people coming to see you play who were probably just losing their mind, Albert?
Yeah. We were on the top of the world. It was just amazing. It was fantastic. There was no group they could beat us. We were like, that was it.
It was a pretty amazing show in its time.
She kept the light open all night long for me to come home. Know it was wrong, but everything was true to me. She waited by the window so patiently, and I could run home with my hair hanging down. She picked it up and softly smiled, and I was out rolling with my band. Yeah, I was out rolling with my band. I never realized she was so undone. I didn't suspect she had no right of her own. But she was so true, but she was her. She was just there, and I would just come stumbling into care. I didn't care, 'cause she was just there. And I was out rolling with my band. Yeah, I was out rolling with my band. Wouldn't come home for weeks at a time. She didn't know she was free. Oh, everything needs was true to me. She waited by the window so bitterly. Wanted me to come close. I guess I noticed I couldn't see. So what could I say? What good affection could I show her? I had only one thing on my mind. When I came to her, she gave back my hand, and out across the fields out the window I stared, where I was out rolling with my band. Yeah, I was out rolling with my band. Yeah, I was out rolling with my band. I was rock and rolling with my band. I was rock and rolling with my band. I was out rolling with my
Did you ever feel any pressure, and I'm going to go to you first, and I'm going to go to all three of you on this, any pressure ever to live up to what you did on a previous album or a previous show, and we got to top this, and it's just, what the hell am I going to write on this? Do you ever feel that?
Well, of course, once you have a hit, you're under tremendous pressure to have more hits, which is unfortunate. It's too bad. You couldn't go back and just make the kind of records that you want to make, whether it's a hit or not. But there is a certain expectation, on the part of the record company, if not yourself and your fans, to have more hits. So
Yeah, it changed. Everything changed after the hit.
Yeah.
And not everything was good, but a lot of it was. I mean, we could headline anywhere.
Right. and you're still playing shows now, and people can name a majority of your songs in 2 seconds. You guys created something from nothing 2 seconds into a song. I mean, that's got to feel pretty insanely good, right?
Amazing.
Right? Okay.
Amazing.
And why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep playing shows? Is it just you're addicted to the music? You're addicted to being on stage?
I love to perform myself. Yeah. I don't know what else I'd do if I didn't do it.
Find Alice
That's,
Cooper.
that
play
sounds
them.
like a Spinal Tap question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could be a haberdasher.
Thank you so much for chatting with me. I really enjoyed it. What a thrill. So thank you.
Glad to
Hey.
be
Thank
here.
you.
All right. Blue Oyster Cult. They have been our guests, and I'm Stryker. Till next time.